Okay, welcome to the Solve Your Mapping Needs with CartoDB webinar. My name is Eric. I'm on the business development team here at CartoDB, and I'm coming at you live from our Madrid offices. I think we have a pretty international audience tonight, so good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. We have a lot of attendees now, so I think we can go ahead and get started. What we're covering today is designed to be really straightforward and easy to digest. I'm basically going to give you an overview of CartoDB and what we do, and then I'm going to show you how other people have used CartoDB to make some impressive visualizations and analyses, and then I'm going to show you how you upload your data to CartoDB and build powerful visualizations of your own. Hopefully by the end, you'll have a better idea of what it means to extract value from locational data, and you'll be able to even do it yourself. So the webinar is going to last about 45 minutes. The first 5 to 10 minutes will be that contextual overview of CartoDB, and the rest will be a live demo. If you have questions along the way, just ask them in the chat box, and I'll get those answered as soon as possible. Also, we're trying to get more and more feedback on these webinars, so please, if you have any thoughts, good or bad, or questions to share, just tweet them to us at CartoDB, and you have that right there in the slide. So I know we probably have attendees here with varying levels of experience and interest. So I'm going to start at a really basic level, as if you didn't know anything about CartoDB, locational intelligence, GIS, or data analysis, just so we can all sort of start off on the same page. So I'll tell you what I tell my girlfriend's friends when they ask me about the company that I work for, because lately it seems like they've been asking a lot. And what I always say is that CartoDB is where data meets maps. And unfortunately, this usually makes them more confused than they were before. But luckily in this setting, I have visual aids and some time to explain, so that when I say CartoDB is where data meets maps, then all of a sudden you get a better idea of sort of what I mean. Now, this particular map is a pretty simple one that tracks different birds' flight patterns, but it turned out to be a really cool visual and tell an informative story, so it provides a cool example of what we do. But it's just one example of the million other ways you can use CartoDB software to process and analyze locational data. CartoDB is a full geospatial platform, and we built it to bring location intelligence to everyone. No downloads, no local software. All you need is an internet browser. But before I get more into CartoDB, I wanted to touch a little bit more about data and maps and why that's something we should care about. And I'm going to go kind of full on map nerd here for a few seconds, but bear with me, it'll be over soon. So as you're probably aware by now, we live in a world of data, and everyone is spending a lot of money and trying really hard to extract value from that data. And what's interesting is that now, and I think this photo depicts the phenomenon really clearly, with improvements in internet connectivity, cellular networks, GPS, remote sensing, the Internet of Things, etc., all the data that's being collected is coming from small devices, and those small devices are all interconnected. So that almost every data point is locationally aware, which basically means that we know where it comes from. Actually, official sources say that over 80% of data being collected now has a locational component. The point here is that traditional forms of data analysis like spreadsheets and graphs and charts can be limited because they can't accurately factor in that aspect of location. They cannot accurately answer the question of where. And where is just as important as who or what or why. People need to know things like, where are my assets? How far away are they from my customers? Where is this trend occurring and how can I take advantage of it? Where are these problems occurring in the highest frequency? How much and how often do they overlap, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the moral of the story here is that everything happens somewhere. And now we know where, so there's no better place to show it than on a map. And there's no better way to create a map than with CartoDB. At CartoDB, we believe that everyone should be able to analyze, visualize, and share insights with their locational data. We are in the business of democratizing locational intelligence. And this democratization is being driven primarily by our map editor, which I'm going to show you how to use in a few minutes, and which is the easiest way to make maps on the web. The map editor is essentially one massive application that is designed to allow people without GIS or web development experience to easily create maps and analyze data. The map editor is built on the combination of different APIs that create the CartoDB platform, and many times other web developers and GIS experts leverage the power of our platform to build other mapping applications. And we're going to see some of those later. And this dynamic between the editor and the platform can be sort of confusing, but we don't need to pay much attention to that right now because we're going to focus mostly on the editor, and it can get sort of complex. If you have questions about this specifically, please follow up with me via email and I'll be happy to talk to you about it. Between our map editor and the map and our platform, we have built a worldwide community of over 100,000 map makers, and we're pretty stoked about that, and we're happy to have all of you guys joining the CartoDB community. Now, to illustrate what I've been describing, let's take a quick look at some of the industries that we are focusing on and some of the great maps that have been created so far using CartoDB. So these are some technology companies using CartoDB, of which you've probably heard a few. Twitter in particular has been one of our most important customers because they are very effective at illustrating social phenomena by showing how people react to different social stimuli around the world. And this map shows all the Twitter activity related to the Academy Awards, the Oscars, that happened last spring. And the time slider at the bottom goes from the beginning of the ceremony to the end of the ceremony and shows at what times different awards were given, like Best Actor, Best Director, etc. And you can literally see how people are reacting to these different awards throughout the country. You can kind of see the US, actually the rest of the world too, but this view is over the US, pulsating with social media activity. And it also creates a very nice visual, as you can see. Moving on to finance and insurance companies, many companies in this industry are using geospatial to do a lot of different things, like effectively analyze financial patterns or properly understand locational risk and other phenomenon in that vein. And this map, and again, this map may lag a little bit because of the screen share, just like the last one. But BBVA, another one of our bigger clients, use CartoDB to analyze spending patterns and how they are affected by a major event like the Mobile World Congress, which is a major tech conference that takes place every year in Barcelona. So in this map, the left side shows the data on a normal week, and the right side shows the data during the week of the MWC. The blue dots are local spenders and the purple dots are foreign spenders, and the size of the dot corresponds to the size of the transaction. This way they can visualize sort of who is buying what, in what quantities, at what times of the day, and most importantly, where. This is really effective for identifying patterns and trends, which are insights you can use for predictive analytics or to optimize your resource allocation. I mean, applications for this type of analysis are almost infinite. And also it creates a very nice visual. Moving on to the public sector, large governments, kind of local and state governments like the city of New York, Barcelona, and a few others are using CartoDB to create these geo portals, which feeds them real-time information about the different metrics of the city, including public transportation, crime, public services like police officers and firefighters, poverty levels, quality of life ratings, etc. Oh, and here's an example of that. This is just a small screenshot of the NYC GeoPortal. So now media companies and media outlets, journalists are using CartoDB for what's called data journalism and to tell visual stories with their data. CartoDB allows journalists to communicate an idea and then simultaneously prove that it's true by showing it with data. And in this case, the Wall Street Journal used CartoDB for real-time election mapping during the presidential election of 2012 in the US. So that when election results were received from different parts of the US, they were pushed into CartoDB, and the map was automatically updated every few minutes, while simultaneously being viewed by millions of people at once. And finally, we have utilities and telecommunications companies, and these companies are in a huge need of geospatial analysis for a variety of reasons, as you can imagine. And in this example, Orange, Spain, a major telecommunications provider here, uses CartoDB to map out its coverage areas and where their signal is stronger or weaker for their 2G, 3G, and 4G networks. And that is the conclusion of the sort of presentation-y part of the webinar. And there's two more use cases that I would really love to show you guys at the end of the webinar if there's time, but because I basically just spent 5 minutes telling you about how easy CartoDB is to use, I feel like I use some live demonstration. So let's go ahead and get to it. Let's see. Change this. Here is your CartoDB dashboard, and this is what you're going to see when you log into CartoDB every single time. And if you haven't made a CartoDB account, you can just go into our website, go into the sign up and create a free account right now, or I can give you a couple minutes to do that. And basically, the dashboard just houses all of your different data sets and different maps. So right now we're looking at my map view, and if you go up here to this button, you can also see all the different data sets that you have hosted on CartoDB. Let's get started by showing you kind of the different ways you can import data. So for many people who have their own data, it's going to be as simple as just dragging and dropping data into CartoDB. And earlier today, I downloaded a data set from the US Geological Survey that shows all the earthquakes in the past 24-hour period. And so I can just go into my downloads, and it is here. I just drag this and drop it right into CartoDB, and CartoDB will sort of ingest this data set, and now you can see it, and it's sort of in a spreadsheet format because it was a CSV file. And this data set actually contained 2 columns for latitude and longitude, and CartoDB automatically recognized that those are latitude and longitude because it can read and is very smart software. And so it automatically translated those into what's called like the geometry, and basically just assigned points to those different earthquakes on the map. And so that's what this column here represents. If CartoDB doesn't automatically recognize this, then you can use our geocoder to plot the data onto the map. And I'll show you how to do that in the next example. But in this case, it was all done, in one step. So now if we go to the map view, then you can see all of those earthquakes on the map. And what we see now is just what's called the simple visualization. And from here, I'm going to just kind of take you through a few different steps and a few different styling possibilities that you have. So this is the simple visualization that just points on a map. I mean, you can do a lot of different things. So you can kind of change the base map to a variety of different base maps that we have stock on CartoDB. You can also, if you have a custom base map made on Mapbox or another base map editor, then you can upload that here. But for now, I guess let's just stick to this one because it's really good for providing visuals. Actually, let's go with the dark one. And then you can do different aesthetic things with these points. So say you want to change the size of the dots to a little bit bigger. And then you want to change the color to, let's say, light blue. And you want to take away this marker stroke, which is like the ring around the dot, just so it kind of makes a nicer looking visual. That's for the simple visualization. Then this here is called the map wizard, and you can go through our different styles of maps to see which one tells the best data story for you. So now, if you went into this one, it shows a cluster with the cluster